Good afternoon, everyone. On this July 15th of 2021, I'm Mayor Diana Broderson, and welcome to our city. We are so glad you joined us today. We have a great guest lined up. I just have a couple of quick announcements, though. As you may know, last week was the free drop-off for electronics at the Muscatine transfer station, and this week is the week for free tire drop-off. Get that out. So every household in the city of Muscatine can drop off up to 4 tires at no cost. Just take them down to the transfer station. Don't worry about not knowing where to go. There's all kinds of signage. Just follow the path and drop them off at no cost. So this is a really good time to work on cleaning out that garage. Next, I wanted to just share Saturday is our first coffee with the mayor since having everything shut down for the pandemic. So I'm really excited to meet with everyone and visit. We're going to be at Fuller Park at 9 a.m. on Saturday. The rest of the year, we're going to meet at a different park every month. So kind of really trying to highlight all the great beauty and the wonderful amenities that we have here in our city. So Fuller Park on Saturday at 9 a.m. Next, I'd just like to share with everyone an update on the railroad. I've had a great deal of people over the last few months really reach out about the problem they've had down in South End with the roads being blocked for longer than 10 minutes. We know that 10 minutes is what their limit is supposed to be, and some of them are upwards of 45 and 50 minutes. So I set on a mission to get a hold of the railroad. I know our Public Works has done it hundreds of times, and I just thought maybe I could get a sit-down meeting with them and if you could get to the right person. So I started a quest, and I was able to get a meeting with the vice president and a local general manager, and we got a meeting. I had asked Carol Webb, our city administrator, to join me, and Nadine Brockert, our council person for that area, and I think it was a wonderful meeting. The vice president was unaware, has assured us they're going to work on that problem. We do have a number that our emergency people only can call, because I have a lot of people say, well, what if there's an emergency and there's an ambulance trying to get through? We do have a separate number that our emergency personnel can call, and it goes directly to the police of CP Rail. So they have their own police, and they will immediately uncouple the cars and let the emergency vehicles through. So please don't worry about that part. We have that managed. But right now we're working on, what to do about the blockages for longer than 10 minutes. So on every crossing, you will see a sign like this, and it says, report emergency or problem to this number. Please call that number, give them that code that tells them exactly what crossing it is. Because prior to the meeting that we had about a week and a half ago, they pulled a log that showed all of the phone calls, because I'd been asking people for over a year or two to call that number. And that they said, you know what, you really do have an issue going on there. So they've assured me they're dealing with it. They're working on it. We have another meeting set up for mid-August. And prior to that meeting, they're going to be calling or checking that log again. So between now and then, if you have any time that you are stopped for longer than 10 minutes from crossing, please call that number. We need to have that data so that we can demonstrate that we do have an issue that they need to address. So I think we're on a really good path. I'm really hopeful. I know the folks down there struggle with this. Our businesses struggle with it. Our school buses struggle with it. So I think we're on a good path to getting the solution, but I do need your help. If you have an instance, please call that number so we get that entered on the log. Having that data really is key. And let's see, that's all the updates that I have for right now. So I'm very pleased to ask you to join me in welcoming Holly Oppelt. She is our newly elected president of the Muscatine League.
Thank you, Mayor, for inviting me. We love to get the word out on our organization.
We have been very fortunate for as long as I can remember to have a very active League of Women Voters here in our community.
Yes, you're right. Our league was started, I believe, in Muscatine in 1964.
Wow.
And it was very active. Then it hit a dry spell, and it actually kind of folded for about 3-4 years. Sue Johansson was very active in getting it re-upped and going again. That was slow. She had just a few core members. It's been growing. We have approximately 40 members now, which is really good for any organization anymore because people don't join like they used to.
Not just the city.
It is now, Muscatine County. Originally, it was more the city, but we're trying to, that's one of my goals this year, is to reach out to West Liberty, Wilton, and get some people involved, whether they come here to our meetings or maybe we'll go to them.
Other organizations as well that really is for Muscatine County, not just Muscatine City, and are really actively working on bringing in the other areas of our county. Because and letting them have a voice too, and be involved. So I think that's a great idea.
Well, it's important. They need the representation. They can bring a new light to things too. So,
and just like some of the groups that we're on, where it's where we're the smaller person. So I'm on a couple of mayor groups and Muscatine board. And
yeah.
Know how it feels and want to make sure that no matter your size that you
They're
have
included.
Involvement and you're included. That's right. So how long have you been on League of Women Voters?
I've been a member, I'm going to say, 3.5, 4 years.
Very good.
I was very active with business and professional women locally, state, and nationally. I was on the national board and finance chair for a year. So they're kind of similar. They have your issues, your drive, your lobbying. I love lobbying. To go to Washington, D.C. and lobby is just fun.
It is.
So
it is. One of the things that I do here at the Y for my day job is I started the first one in the state of Iowa, Grandparents Raising Grandchildren program. And so I've had the opportunity to go to Washington and lobby for grandparents' rights. And you're right, there's an excitement to it, and really being able to educate our legislators on things that they might not otherwise be aware.
We worked hard back, well, now it's been in the 90s, with Senator Harkin. He was very active in starting the equal pay for equal rights, that whole issue, not ERA per se, but the equal rights. So it was fun. We learned a lot. He said it'd be slow going. He met with us every year specifically on it, and it was slow going and really it's kind of faded away, unfortunately. So,
well, and one thing I try to share with people too, and I know it's very important to you, and certainly your history with BPW, Business Professional Women, then the League of Women Voters, and some of the other things that you've been involved in, is volunteer service and how rewarding it can be.
It is.
It really is.
Well, you work at the Y. I was president when we had the capital campaign. We raised the funds, we broke the ground and opened the doors, and that was fun. It's still kind of my building over there. You feel, because we put in a lot of hours over there, even down to before the open houses, I was washing the windows and stuff. So you do anything that needed to be done.
Do whatever it is. Yeah, and that was back in 90 and 91.
Yeah.
That was a ways ago.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
It was. And one of my first experiences with League of Women Voters, my mentor for many, many years was Susan Corey. Still is, always. I'm still fortunate enough to keep in contact with her, even though she doesn't live here anymore. I've learned so much from her, and she was involved in the League of Women Voters for quite some time. And so that was kind of, eye-opening for me. And Muscatine, especially, I think knows about League of Women Voters from your
that's what we have to remind people. We are nonpartisan. We may have issues that we address, but it's the overall good is the way we look at it, and it's not a political party issue. So it keeps us busy, put it that way.
What are some of those issues, Holly?
Well, ERA is always a big issue, Equal Rights Amendment. That one is big. Now we just we have programs. We try to have one monthly. We did just have Senator Maggie Tinsman, or past Senator Maggie Tinsman, on human trafficking. I learned so much of that presentation. I know you were in attendance. We had 33 people show up, and I think that was
a good turnout.
It's very good turnout. And I'd like to see us somehow continue on that. Many times we'll appoint study committees. We don't know if we need a study committee as much as an educational component.
Sure.
So that we're still looking at, trying to decide what to do. There's always the clean air acts and everything that we're very concerned about that will affect our children or grandchildren down the road. Right now, we're getting ready for our candidates forum, starting to work on things. It's a little different this year because of the legislature changing all the voter requirements. They've shortened the time, which makes it hard on us just to get the candidates there and that type of thing, make plans, put it that way. It's a shorter period of time too. The early voting has been knocked from 29 days down to 20 days. And the request period for your ballots goes from 120 days. Now it's only 70 days. So you don't have as much time to get those absentee ballots. I think the one thing that's going to be one of the hardest issues is there's only one place per county to drop your ballot. That the Wilton people would have to come to Muscatine to do it, because obviously it's going to be the slot there at the courthouse annex. But look at Des Moines or Polk County and all these huge counties.
You must have to drive a long ways
if they're going to vote that way. So I don't know. I think things need to be analyzed, looked at. They knocked 300,000 Iowans have been removed from the voting polls because they're inactive at the last election. Well, you know what? One of the things that happened is we go in and we have voter registration, like at the high school. 18-year-olds registered to vote. They didn't get a chance to vote yet, and they got dropped from the polls.
Oh my goodness.
So it's kind of like we have to educate those people again that they may have to register. It's different rules out there now. She is learning a lot too every day. She went to a class, I think, upside down.
Yeah.
In fact, Tybie's our next speaker out at, we're going to have it at the Environmental Learning Center. We'd originally hoped to have the library, but Medicare is there instead of us. So it's on July 27th in the Environmental Learning Center, and it's at 6:30. And she's going to tell us about her first 6 months in office.
Oh, that's great.
So
I'm sure it's been challenging for her. I heard Rob Sand, our state auditor, last week, and she was there as well, talking about some of the issues that they're dealing with. So it sounds like the League of Women Voters not only is an organization that also is an awareness organization to make the community aware of what's going on, what some of the issues are, what they need to know. Can we register at the polls this year?
I think it has to be 6 days before, prior.
Oh my goodness.
Let's see if I have it here by any chance. It's a shorter pre-registration period, 15 to 10 days before.
So there may be folks showing up at the polls that aren't allowed to vote.
Could be. I don't know for sure how that one's going to work yet.
Boy, that'd be sad. We've worked so hard all these years
to get them.
To get them, yes. I've even held here at the Y open houses for people to register to vote.
Well, we're working on those right now. So if you have any places you'd like, that's where we do need the volunteers. It was fun. I did it last year out at Hy-Vee. And you sit there and you see all kinds of people you know and everything.
Sure.
Just talk away.
Yes.
So we're working on getting those set up. And working on the candidates forum, of course. We won't know till number count comes in. We'll have both school board and city elections this time. In the meantime, we have a new book club that we're trying. They're going to meet quarterly at this point. The Dandelion Insurrection is the book that they're going to read for I gotta look and see what the date is on that one. I have not read it yet, so I can't tell you.
I have not
either. September 14th at 6:30 at Wine Nuts is where that'll be.
Insurrection. So everybody's going to read it on their own and then come talk about it.
Love and Revolution by Rivera's Son. It's the first of 3 series. So it was recommended to the ones that showed up at the last organizational meeting.
Okay.
So, another thing that I'm looking at working on with Mindy Stark actually is getting Girl Scouts involved.
Oh, that's a great idea.
There's a badge or a couple badges possibly out there that they can earn. They learn the politics. They go to a council meeting. They can go to Des Moines to lobby and that type of thing. So we're going to start that up, and there's different age groups even that they can learn about our democracy. So
that's great. I've had some groups come to get their badge and just meet with me for a while at City Hall, and I take on a tour and talk about local politics and how that can be impactful to people.
Well, we'll keep you busy on that one.
Oh, sure. Oh, I love the ideas how you're spreading out that way, and especially this year, because this is the 100th year.
Oh, almost past, to be honest.
Almost.
We're kind of disappointed. We worked hard. There was a committee of Joni Axel, Sue Johansson, Chris Weiss, myself, and hard won, not done was the theme. And we coming in, and we started off, and we had a couple good speakers out at MCC, and then COVID hit. And obviously, you know what happened there. Now I have to, and there was a big kickoff in Ames for it. We went to that. Everybody was energized, and then we got kicked. It hasn't been the same since. In fact, they're going to have a wrap up in to a certain degree, and it's so sad. Because
that's one of those things that were impacted by COVID. I know we even had, I remember going to a kickoff event at the Rendezvous for Hard Won Not Done. And it was quite attended by a lot of people.
That was on February 14th. And that is the founding date of League of Women Voters. Carrie Chapman Catt from Iowa started the league, and it was founded on February 14th. So that's why we had our kickoff on that day. But then things happen.
Oh, yes.
That actually, a group of women started doing those articles on Muscatine women.
Yeah.
That was from a kind of an offshoot of our planning. And they were some good ones.
Oh, they were really good. I enjoyed reading every single one of them.
Women of influence and inspiration. So they worked hard at it, and they got some good information, and they did publish a booklet on it. So
it was quite interesting. So the League of Women Voters, what kind of person would want to join the League of Women? Do they have to be like a radical women's liber?
No, not at all. As somebody that's interested in learning, helping others, like registration. I mean, you know, that's not very radical, really.
No.
But you can sit out there and do an important job.
Sure.
You can help plan programs. One I'm getting excited about in January, I've set up with CBI. We're working with a Steve Schomburg. He's from the Lutz area, but he now lives in Hills, Johnson County area.
Okay.
He's a farmer up there, and he raises, I never can say this right, miscanthus. And it's a crop. I'm learning on this real quick, but it's University of Iowa's generating plant is using this crop as an alternative to coal.
Oh.
So I picked up roundabout ways of finding out about this issue.
Sure.
And I asked Central State Bank if they'd help, or CBI if they'd help sponsor it with us. And he's going to be down here. We're going to have an open event to the community, farmers invited, because he wants to educate people on the crop, because he sees that as a sustainable energy component.
Oh, sure.
So
Oh,
I
that
don't
sounds
know.
exciting to hear.
It's not a marijuana weed or anything.
Right.
But
Well, and you know, I think it's been a couple years ago. You guys had a wonderful presentation on water, clean water.
Yeah.
And really, it was quite educational. And now more and more, we're looking at some of the ways that farmers can use to stop all of that from going right on down to the Gulf of Mexico and, you know, creating a larger and larger dead zone down there.
and that and the chemicals that just pour in.
Yes.
The league is, including Muscatine, is a member of the Upper Mississippi River region, that interleague organization that has been developed. I haven't been to any of their programs, but I understand they have some wonderful programs. And now they're trying to get it passed through the legislature that it'll go down the whole Mississippi River. So it talks about
Great information. I belong to a mayor's group, Mississippi River Mayors, and we meet regular and talk about issues like this as well, because, you know, whether your community is on the Mississippi River up in Minnesota or down in Louisiana, we all have very similar issues that we're facing. And so, you know, banding together always is a good program.
So we have, Carol Webb's going to speak to us August 23rd.
Oh,
so
is she?
We'll get to meet her and
Good.
just kind of get an update on this city. There's somebody from Muscatine Power and Water on future energy. So that's all worked in with, and it doesn't always fit everybody's immediate interests, but something else might, you know, it. So that we try to balance our programming that way. Then we're real big right now, like everybody is, on the diversity, equity, and inclusion. We don't have a speaker yet, but we're trying to work with LULAC on coming up with something joint.
Oh, sure.
That's what we like to do, we'll include LULAC. We would include ACLU. I mean, to not only make a better impact, but people would learn.
Oh, yes. So, you know, and it really, when we can partner, I mean, I talk about it almost every week, when we partner together, the outcomes can just be dramatically increased.
Yeah, you are right. So,
and, you know, less work for all of us, and you know, because everybody has their niche, and, oh, you know this person and I know that person, and we can get those speakers in here and get the venue set up, and it's
just like with Maggie Tinsman. Then the next day it hits the Muscatine Journal that there was some sexual trafficking going on in Muscatine.
Oh my goodness.
We're all sitting there emailing going, did you see that? Because we just had the program, and makes you aware of what does go on.
It really does. It really does. And that awareness, you know, back to that community education, that is really key.
Well, and that's one of the issues I need to do a little more studying on. But the one bill that got passed, Senator Tinsman had indicated, and I've read a little on it, but not enough yet, that landlords could be held responsible for sex trafficking going on in their rental properties. I find that just horrid because you could be doing it on your computer right now and I'd have no clue what was going on. And I don't like that. I think that's something the landlord association we should meet with them and talk to them about it so that they're aware.
You know this?
Yeah.
Yes.
But I got to do a little more research, obviously. But Maggie had mentioned that, and it's kind of like, oh my.
Sure. Sure. And they might not know what they don't know.
Oh yeah. How would you know?
Right. Right. Yeah, I think that you guys do a wonderful service to the community with that public education and lobbying. You know, so these new voting changes, is that something that the group is going to create some awareness around and perhaps lobby for?
We're trying to, well, like we do have Tybee going to speak to us. We have been planning on doing some videos with her. When she was at the meeting she was at 2 weeks ago, she would talk to the Secretary of State about it, and he kind of slowed her down a little. I don't know all the details on it, but I do know that the Ames Story County League of Women Voters, they're doing some videos right now.
Are they?
They're supposed to be out August 1st. I've put a call into Bonnie, or one of the presidents, and asked, we might as well, if we can use it.
Oh, you know, sure. Oh, sure.
No use recreating the wheel.
No, not at all. Not at all. Oh, that'd be great.
So there's that type of education to be done.
Yeah, there really is. And so many changes, like you say, this year. And this is an odd year anyway, you know, just having coming off of the pandemic and everybody trying to get their bearings and know what the right thing is to do. And
we may not be done with it yet.
I know there's so much public education needing to be done. And so I know last year when you guys did the candidate forums, you did them virtually. Will you be doing that again this year? What are you hoping for? We don't know, really.
We don't know. And that's part of what we have been talking about. If we do a candidates forum, we could do that. We don't know how many candidates are going to be.
No.
You know, school board, there could be 11.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Last year was limited. True.
So that makes a difference on how you handle it. They did the forum last year, kind of. It was a smaller forum, if I remember correctly. But then they did the individual interviews. And I like those.
Yes.
And I've said that to the committee. I liked hearing those because you could be asked a question and you answer it. Where sometimes with forums, when you got everybody all lined up and I'll answer the question, then you answer the question, and then you answer the question, and then before long, I don't have anything to say. I agree.
I know. All your answers, and you don't want to just say ditto.
That's a problem.
That's true.
So
that's true.
We're still working on it.
And it's so hard to plan because we want to think that we're at the end of the pandemic, but we don't know. I mean, some of the stuff you hear on the news in the morning is like, oh my goodness, some of these places have tripled, you know, and their ICU beds are all taken. And you think, oh, could that happen to us? And I'm sure it could. And none of us ever want to think about going back to everything being closed down again.
Nope.
But it makes it so hard to plan.
So some of it we could still do again virtual. We had a good experience with it, really. Our time is shorter because of the registration period of time, or the sign up if you're going to declare. That's tough there for planning. So
well, you guys do such a great service in our community. We've needed you and relied on you to keep the information coming to us, and you know that knowledge is power. And even the candidates forum, something like that, you know, you're supplying the voters with the information so that they can make their own decisions, you know, and that's the thing. no matter what the topic or the issue is, supplying the people with the information and then letting them make their own decisions. That's
It's
key.
important. Yeah.
That is.
We do have new brochures this year.
Okay.
If anybody'd like one sent out to them, they could email me. I'd be glad to put one in the mail to them.
Okay.
And my email address is hoppelt, OPPELT at me.com.
Okay.
And I would send that out. Our dues are $60 for an individual, another 30 or 90 total for a family.
Okay, so maybe, because I was going to have you clarify, men can join, is that correct?
Oh, yes. In fact, Rob Yant, who's just returned to our community and has rejoined, he was the first male president of League of Women Voters in the state of Iowa.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So, yeah.
Yes.
So men can definitely join.
So a couple, it would be just $90 for the year for a whole couple.
Correct.
Very good.
And we've got a website. We've got Facebook presence out there. And then, of course, there's BPW. Boy, that came out.
I do it all the time.
League of Women Voter Iowa website, and you information too for people.
Oh, great. Great.
Oh.
So the people can, if they didn't get your name or number, they can just go to the Facebook page, League of Women Voters of Muscatine, and they'll find us.
You can just put in LWVMC.
And you'll find it.
Yep.
Perfect.
So, okay.
Was there anything we didn't talk about that you wanted to highlight today?
Love to have new members. Makes the work go a lot easier.
Sure.
We've got various committees that I really kind of hit on a few that people could be involved in of something of interest to them.
Okay.
So I can definitely share that type of information. You need to be 16 or older to join.
Okay.
So we do like to see community college age, high school age members.
Sure.
They've got the young blood a lot of times.
Sure do.
You need.
Yes. I think that sounds great. I think the folks can reach out, and like you say, you don't have to be all fired up, excited about every single issue. There might be a couple of things come up that you really have a passion for.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
I was at a meeting yesterday and they were focusing on energy and everything. I'm interested in it, but that's not my main drive.
Sure.
And that's okay. I learned a lot just listening to them too.
That's right. So we need more people. So we have enough people to be interested in each one of the issues and topics.
Yep. And carry through on it. So if
well,
anybody wants
so
to. Well, thank you for having me.
I'm glad to visit with you, and I thank you for your heart for volunteering and stepping into the role as chair. You know, our community wouldn't be anywhere it is without our volunteers. You know, people who raise their hand and say, I'll help and I'll do this for the good of the city. It's amazing.
It's fun. It's rewarding.
Yep.
So I enjoy it.
And I always say the volunteers get more out of it than who they're helping, you know, and like the old adage, it's better to give than to receive. It so is when it comes to volunteerism.
Something like that. Mm-hmm.
It really is important to all of us. So thank you so much for all you do. We appreciate you and the League of Women Voters and all the impact that they have in our city. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, thank you all for joining us today. Next week, our guest on Our City is Megan Custis, and she is with the newly formed Celebrate Muscatine, and she's going to talk to us all about that new group. Please remember there is a city council meeting at 7 p.m. tonight. You can join us in person, or you can, we're still having the meeting hybrid, so you can join us virtually, and you can find that log-on link on the city's website on the agenda. Big thanks to our guest, Holly Oppelt, today. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and we look forward to seeing you here next week on Our City. Have a good day.